So, what is the reason that your party went all out to support the government on these two crucial issues?
Look, the no confidence hasn't even happened yet. We've only in principle made a statement that we find that the no confidence motion itself fairly meaningless at this point in time. So therefore and because it's brought by the Congress, so it's and our whole party existence is based on non-congressism. So anything that the Congress party brings to Parliament as a motion, it's impossible for us to, in any case, support that. But that's for another day. As far as the Delhi Services Bill is concerned, I haven't spoken yet fully on the bill. The bill was due today for discussion. Inexplicably, the Treasury benches started raising a ruckus, and so Parliament was adjourned. Hopefully, Parliament will have the occasion to debate this bill tomorrow, in which case I will give my entirely well-considered reasoning why the BJD has supported this. It's after a proper evaluation of the Constitution Bench judgment, the subsequent order passed by the Honorable Supreme Court referring the fresh issues to another Constitution Bench, etc., etc. So I don't want to say too much now. I'd rather say it on the floor of the House. The BJD has been equidistant from both the UPA and the NDA. Even during the 10 years of the UPA, there were issues on which we supported them, which were in national interest and the interest of the state. That's always been of paramount importance for Mr. Naveen Patnaik. He basically, I think, sifts the grain from the chaff. He sees what is in the interest of the state and acts accordingly. Similarly, as far as the NDA is concerned, there have been issues on which we have supported the NDA. Just yesterday, for instance, I spoke on the offshore mineral exploration bill, which I think is an excellent initiative by the government. It will help the state of Odisha enormously in terms of garnering further royalties for us. So obviously we'll support that. We've opposed the NDA on, for instance, the farm laws. We voted against them. So therefore, it's not that it shouldn't come as a surprise when we support them. It should come as no surprise when we oppose them. Politically, we fight them on the streets in Odisha. There is no question on that score. They are our principal opposition party, and therefore we are constantly in a political dogfight with them there. But as far as the centre is concerned, Mr. Patnaik's always felt that it has to be constructive cooperation, cooperative federalism, call it what you may. But there is no point in needlessly fighting with the centre, in just being adversarial for the sake of being adversarial, because that only cripples, the state's finances. The centre becomes more and more obdurate. The centre becomes more and more hostile, and there is no state government today in India in this federal polity that we have here, with the GST architecture, for instance, that we have in place here, with the other tax structures that we have in place here. No state can today be at constant war with the centre and survive and do something for the people. The reason why our economy today is in this extraordinarily healthy state in Odisha is because we do not fight the centre. We work in cooperation with the centre. We try and get what is our just dues. It's not that we always do. There are very often the centre has deprived us of what is our just dues. We fought on those issues with the centre. So that's the way the lay of the land is.
So you mentioned 2 points about the farm law, that you voted against it, and you also said that the Chief Minister believes in cooperative federalism. Now, if I remember correctly on the farm laws, I think the BJD had walked out of the houses of both the houses of Parliament. They did not actually vote against it. And when you talk about the Delhi Services Bill, it is the very principle of cooperative federalism that is being raised by opposition parties.
I think what you have to see firstly is on the farm laws, the Rajya Sabha, there was no voting. Please remember. In the Lok Sabha, our numbers didn't really matter. And therefore, in the Lok Sabha, I think we walked out, but after making a speech against the farm laws and saying we oppose it. But in the Rajya Sabha, we would have opposed it, but there was no vote because there was a ruckus and the bills were passed in a din. That's number one. Number two, as far as the issue of federalism is concerned, I think on the Delhi issue, you have to see the legalness behind it, the legality behind it. There are laws involved in this, this is not just a political statement. Yes, on federalism, Mr. Patnaik has been next to none. But Delhi is a very peculiarly situated, in terms of our federal polity. The Supreme Court itself has recognized that. And therefore, if you look at the last order of the Supreme Court by which the Delhi government's writ petition against the ordinance was admitted and referred to 5 judges, which I will quote extensively on the floor of the House,
Sure.
you will realize that there is a case to be made out for what the government has done. You could vote for it, you could vote against it, but I think in the given circumstances, Mr. Patnaik felt that given the legality of the situation today, this is not an issue of pure federalism per se. There is much more to it than that, and I will explain that on the floor of the House.
Sir, a lot of attention actually you've attracted because of your intervention yesterday, because it suddenly gave a different kind of perspective to everybody who was listening to that debate, and it is one of the most discussed and watched issues today in the country. So could you explain a little more on that? Why is the Aam Aadmi Party and opposition members, why is the India bloc of parties saying that unless the no confidence motion issue is resolved, you cannot bring any issue of any substantive legislative issues in the floor of the House? And since it is already under challenge in the Supreme Court, why discuss it now?
Look, the ordinance is under challenge. The Supreme Court has refused to stay the ordinance expressly. Once that is so, then the ordinance would lapse unless a bill is brought to Parliament. That's the law. So therefore, the government is fully within its right today. The Supreme Court having declined to stay it, and a stay was expressly asked for, the Supreme Court in a speaking order has said that prima facie it appears that once the law has been amended, there is no occasion for a stay, but that's a larger constitutional issue which can be discussed. So therefore, on the no confidence motion and the Prime Minister coming to the floor of the House, which is the demand of the opposition, I believe it was completely misconceived. There is absolutely no gain in disrupting the House. All you do is you give the government a free passage, because the government happily keeps on passing its legislation in the din, and you get no debate. Once the debate would have been underway on any other legislative issue, we could have raised a number of incidental ancillary issues, and that could have included Manipur. Mr. Patnaik has from day one said the people of Manipur deserve the country's undivided attention, not a divided partisan attention. We must all speak in one voice for the people of Manipur. We must all, shoulder arms together to ensure that some succor and some relief is reached out to those very unfortunate people. So therefore, we have not been in agreement from day one on the strategy of the opposition in the manner in which they've obstructed Parliament needlessly. They should have allowed Parliament to function, by all means bring the no confidence, but the legislative agenda of Parliament cannot be obstructed simply by bringing a no confidence. Perhaps the scheme of the Constitution and the scheme of the rules is that something substantive like a constitutional amendment ought not to be brought until the government shows its majority. But that doesn't mean routine legislation can be blocked. I mean, that's an absurd proposition, because otherwise the rule would be like an adjournment motion, that you drop everything and first hear this. Why do the rules say that it can be heard anytime within the next 10 days? So what happens? Everybody goes to sleep for the next 10 days or what? That's not the scheme. That's not what the constitution makers wanted. So therefore, this is a completely misconceived argument again. Therefore, routine legislative work has to go on. That's the job of Parliament. So let Parliament do its job. And you do nobody any favor, including yourself, by blocking Parliament needlessly.
Sir, you must have read Mr. P. Chidambaram's tweet yesterday when he put out a very long, tweet in which he is asked whether the BJD actually supports officers becoming more powerful than ministers, so on and so forth. How would you respond? He's been extremely critical. So how would you respond to him?
May I straight away say Mr. Chidambaram has his point of view on this. He's entitled to his point of view. Does he countenance the 467 people who've been appointed as consultants by the AAP, I mean, is that conscionable? Does Mr. Chidambaram feel that's conscionable? And the Supreme Court has remarked on that. So therefore, I'm sorry, neither side has done itself any credit in this matter, but least of all, the AAP government in Delhi.
How would you respond to Mr. Raghav Chadha, who's actually said that कुछ तो वजह होगी, यूं ही कोई बेवफा नहीं होता? And Aam Aadmi Party leaders have taken many digs at the BJD, saying that BJD perhaps is not aware that BJP can do to the BJD what it has done to other parties. It is their point of view.
Look, firstly, there is no occasion for us to show any wafa to the Aam Aadmi Party. They have fought elections against us in Odisha. So therefore, I don't know where the occasion comes for us to show any wafa to them. But secondly, I think I don't want to, personalize the comment, but everybody knows that the one party on which the central agencies, I assume he means that there are some central agencies at play. They keep talking about the ED, the CBI, income tax, but the one person or the one political party, indeed the one state where you will find the ED, the CBI and the income tax is least active is Odisha, and there's a very simple reason for that. The very simple reason is because Mr. Patnaik runs a squeaky clean government. So therefore, let Mr. Chadha be under no illusion. There is no pressure on us. All that we have done is looked at the merits of the issue, and Mr. Patnaik has, on the merits of the issue, done a wide consultation, both amongst the MPs as well as the party, and then taken a considered view. So there is nothing more to be said for that. People may say what they like.
My last question, sir. Do we look at greater coordination between the BJP and the BJD, and how does it work out in Odisha? Because that is your, like you said, it is your political home ground. And you yourself had a very tough contest last time in Puri against Mr. Sambit Patra. It was a very tightly fought contest. So how, if you are supporting the BJP at the center, why should people not support the BJP on the ground in Odisha?
Well, you have to ask the people why they voted Mr. Patnaik 5 times to power and are clearly going to vote him for a 6th time. Clearly he's done something for the people which they appreciate. And I think there is no conundrum in this. We can continue to fight them as a principal opposition party in the state and support the central government. We don't support a political party at the center. We support the central government. The state of Odisha supports the central government in certain initiatives. So this is not a party versus party issue. This, in a cooperative federalism, is a state versus center issue. So therefore, I have no doubt that the people of Odisha will recognize the merits or demerits of both parties and vote as they have in the past. I'm quite sanguine about that.
So there you heard Mr. Mishra making clear as to why the party supports the central government, and also whether it is going to have any political fallout in the battleground state of Odisha.